Alright everyone, I'm literally just hanging out in the woods here. I've got my Orange 4 with me though. Check this out. A few of you guys have asked for a bike check, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you guys what I run, why I run them, and hopefully answer your questions. By the way, if you guys haven't worked out how to make your bike magically stand up like this yet, it's all about the stick. Simple as. Okay, before I get into too much detail about that thing, why do I ride an Orange? Firstly, I really like the brand. I grew up in West Yorkshire, just 8 miles away from where they're made. I did work experience there twice. Plus, I actually went on a demo day a few years ago and they had all different types of bikes to ride. And they were good, they were fine, but none of them really excited me. None of them really made me feel like I was getting the most out of them. Until I rode an Orange, and then every bump, instead of slowing me down, felt like it was speeding me up. I could pump them, I could jump them. I felt connected to the trail, so I don't know whether that's just because they're stiff aluminium, they're a single pivot, I don't know what it is about it, but I just love the way they ride. I also like how they've stuck with their guns. They've got a suspension system which works, and there's no need to reinvent the wheel. You get all these other brands which come out with this latest SNB or TRX, or I don't know, whatever they want to call their stuff. Whereas Orange, they've got a single pivot. It works. It's had a bit of refinery throughout the years, but you don't need to reinvent the wheel. It just works. It's lovely. It's simple. If you want to replace the bearings, it's just 2 of them. It takes just a few minutes. It's just lovely, and I think they're pretty good looking as well. So as you can see, I ride the Orange 4 model. Now I tried the Orange 5, I had one on loan from Orange for quite a bit, and for some of the steeper tracks, absolutely fantastic bike. It feels so confident, inspiring. I fancy something a little bit more nimbler as my main bike, so I went for the 4. Slightly steeper head angle, slightly shorter travel, so just a bit more playful, and I'm absolutely loving it so far. So I'm about 5'10" on a good day, and I've gone for a medium frame, as it will zoom in and show you, and I've gone for a 50mm stem, and for just general riding up hills, down hills, it's a good fit for me. Say if you want something a little bit more stable, go for the large version, but for me, wanting something playful, like I just said, I really like the fit of this bike. Orange do a range of specs. This one is slightly different. This is something I've put together with a few sponsored parts. I guess it's a bit of a mix of the Orange factory spec with a few added extras from like Spank and Continental. We've got Magura on there and a few Orange Hope parts as well. I've had a load of people ask me about what suspension I run and what settings I run, so let's just dive in. Up front I have the Fox 34 factory. This is with the boost spacing on the front just to make the wheels a bit stiffer, and the Kashima coating. To be honest with you, I don't really run anything too fancy on these. Now these forks come with the climb assist, which to be honest with you, I always leave open. I never really have it locked or even halfway. Even with the Trolsy stuff, I always just have it open. I just don't see any need to make the suspension stiffen up. As for the PSI in the forks, I'm running about 120 PSI in there. I think that's pretty normal. I don't know what the factory settings are meant to be, but I pumped it up and that's what felt good. As for the rear shock, this is a Fox Float Factory Edition, and again, not really too many interesting settings going on this. I have it pretty much open all the time. Maybe I might have it on climb control on a long climb or on the flat, but other than that, it's pretty standard stuff. And the PSI on the rear is about 220 PSI. And as some reference, I weigh 71 kilos, something like that. Again, I don't know what the factory settings are meant to be for my weight. I just pump it up and wait until it feels good. I used to have it a bit softer, but I found as I've ridden a bit harder, I've actually pumped it up a little bit harder. And this is how I run it for any Trolsy stuff, any street stuff, downhill, cross country. I just have it the same settings. So that's how much sag I get with my weight, 71 kilos at 220 PSI. And looks about right to me. Nice bit of suppleness going on there. Rebound, I just have a few clicks. I don't know how many clicks, I don't know which way you meant to number it from, but I don't know, I have it fairly normal, on the faster side of normal maybe. I guess next thing, kind of suspension related, we've got the RockShox Reverb seat post. This is stealth rooted inside the frame, and if you haven't run a dropper seat post yet, you need to get one of these. They're an absolute game changer. I'd go too far as to say probably the best thing ever invented for mountain bikes. Just going along and not having to stop and raise or lower your seat post, absolutely amazing. On top of the seat post I have an SDG seat. This one is orange branded, came with the bike. It's pretty firm, but I'm quite liking it. Just takes a couple of rides to get your ass to get used to it. Doing the steering up front, we have a Hope headset, absolutely spot on, spins the forks around perfectly, doesn't knock, doesn't creak, and it looks sweet in orange. And above the spinny bit we have the Hope Freeride stem. Like I mentioned before, this is the 50mm model. I did try a 70mm just to try and make it a bit more trialsy, and to be honest with you, the 50mm feels pretty much just as good and a little bit better for going down the hills. Now I've got a few headset spacers on there just because I like a bit of a higher front end, which makes it a bit easier to lift the front and a little bit easier for troursy stuff. Then attached to the stem we have some Spank spike bars. These are 800mm wide, which is absolutely huge. I haven't cut them down. I could be tempted just to lop off just like a centimetre off each side, but I'm actually liking the width. Pretty good for downhills. I have had a couple of incidents with trees though, so yeah, maybe just a little bit off the ends. Absolutely love the shape of them though. I love how strong they are. Spank, I think, make pretty much the best bars out there, so yep, like them. And the silver matches the frame, bonus. And attached to the bars we have the Danny Macaskill grips. Now I love lock-on grips on mountain biking for the obvious reason that it rains a lot, especially in Scotland, so having some grips that you know aren't going to slip, are nice and thin and orange, so they even match the Hope's parts, kind of. Absolutely brilliant grips. Well done, Danny, you've done pretty well with these. And while we're up by the levers, may as well show you I'm running the Magura Raceline MT7s with their sweet glow-in-the-dark calipers. Now I'm running 200mm front and rear actually, and just a bit more power. I'm used to having big rotors. I'm not sure if these forks are, but yeah, just coming down the mountains I like to know my brakes are going to work, and these work. Absolutely brilliant brakes. I love the feel of them as well. Pretty much the most powerful brakes I've ever used, and absolutely perfect for coming down hills or troursy stuff. And there's my rear one. Like I said, 200mm rotors front and back, probably a bit overkill for this frame, but like I said, I like brakes that work, and please excuse the stick. And for troursy stuff I just wanted to make sure, you know, I've got too much power rather than too little power. That's kind of my point of view on that. Right, well I guess we're kind of near the wheel. So the front wheel, I'm running the Hope Pro 4. I love Hope stuff, made pretty close to where I grew up, kind of similar to Orange, and the Pro 4's absolutely brilliant. Bearings last forever, stiff. These are the boost versions, so match the forks, and again you can get them in orange, so it kind of matches everything together. Now like my trials bike, I'm running sapin spokes, double butted, and I'm actually running just brass nipples on this one because I'm going to be running through mud, through grit, through water, through salt, and you know, alloy nipples are really good, but brass nipples just a little less likely to corrode. And the spokes are attaching to the hub, my Spank rims. These are the Uzi models, which are 30mm wide. I like how they are silver, I like the tyre profile, and if you guys don't know, I'm a massive fan of Spank rims. Pretty much got the best strength to weight ratio going, and they're just incredibly stiff. So pretty much fit and forget parts, these wheels. I've not had to touch these yet. So providing the grip on the floor, which I need, I have to get some pretty good rubber, and I absolutely love the Continental De Baron projects. So these are the 2.4 tyres. I'm running 30mm rims, and it's absolutely brilliant. I don't get any tyre folding. It makes a really good shape, and I guess these are kind of pretty well spaced, a bit like mud tyres, which to be honest, in Scotland and this kind of stuff comes in pretty handy. I've been absolutely blown away by these tyres. The grip is actually insane. I don't get bounced off line like I might do with lightweight tyres. These are a little bit heavier, and they just stick their lines. They just stick to pretty much anything, even wet roots. It's amazing what they can stick onto. I'm running a bit of a harder tyre pressure than some people might run. I'm running about 40 psi just because I like to feel the feedback from the trail. I like to feel the rocks and feel kickers, so a little bit harder than what some people might run. And that's the same on the back. We've got the matching rims, the Spank Uzis, and Pro 4 on the back. Excuse the mud, I missed that bit when I was tidying it. I've actually got the Hope 44 tooth wimp legs cog on the back. I like to be able to try and ride up hills. I'm 1x11, and just having a bit of a booster cog on the back helps me with that. And that cog is actually attached to Hope's own cassette, which I've been running this a little while now, up and down hills, and it's wearing extremely well. Well done, Hope. Now, making the chain go up and down the cassette is my XT Mech. This is the Shadow version with the clutch, which I think pretty much all Shimano stuff is now. And if you haven't used clutch stuff before, absolutely fantastic. Previously with these bikes, you might get the chain like rattling on the frame a little bit. Not with one of these. It turns what could be a noisy ride into complete silence. I'm not sure if you guys have watched any of my videos of Ben Lomond, but this bike's pretty quiet, which is absolutely brilliant. Speaking of chains, pretty boring, just a Shimano model. I don't know exactly which, I guess it's XT level. And then that leads to the front. We have the Hope cranks. What can you say about these? Fit and forget components, stiff, light, orange, bonus. And yeah, just do what they say in the tin, absolutely spot on. The front cog is the Hope's own brand, which fits onto these cranks without a spider, nice and neat. This is the Boost version to match the Boost rear end, and I think it's a 32 tooth. I may be wrong, but that's just going from memory and I'm too lazy to count it. And that sprocket is also narrow wide, just to make sure the chain stays on, and to even make sure I've got a Hope Slick Guide chain device. I've not had my chain drop off this yet, so a combination of the narrow wide and that chain device, absolutely amazing. Now, I don't have a bash guard on here, and I've been bashing this thing quite a lot, so I've actually been really impressed. I've not managed to bend it yet. And then making my feet grip, we have the DMR. This is the V12 model, the latest one. I really like these. They've got quite a nice concave to them, nice and flat, nice and grippy, strong, good bearings in them. And to be honest with you, I put these on because I just had them left over in my flat from a previous bike, but I thought the silver matched my theme, so I just stuck them on, and yeah, been pretty happy with them. And surprisingly, I'm not yet tubeless on this bike. I'm still living in the past. I've got tubes in there. I'm tubeless on the Charles bike, but I'm too lazy to have converted this yet. Not had any punctures so far, so I've not had any real inclination to change just yet. So there you go, guys. That is my Orange 4. I hope you guys got all the information that you needed. I've probably forgotten some things like I always do, but if you do have any questions, please ask in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them for you. And until next time, guys, take care, have fun with bikes, go subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.